So I just have to get this off my chest because even though it happened last year, I still think about it sometimes and can't help but smile. This is the story of how my cheating ex got exactly what he deserved while I found my dream career in the process. It was the 4th of July, and I was hosting this big barbecue at my place in the suburbs outside LA. I'd spent literally weeks planning it, decorating the backyard with those cute string lights from Target, making sure the coolers were stocked with White Claw and Bud Light, and prepping enough food to feed a small army. I'd even splurged on those fancy Trader Joe's appetizers that everyone goes crazy for. My boyfriend Jack and I had been together for 2 years at that point. He was this finance bro type who worked at some investment firm downtown and always acted like he was God's gift to the world. Looking back, there were so many red flags. But you know how it is when you're in love. Your rose-colored glasses might as well be welded to your face, lol. Anyway, my best friend Emily was there too. We'd been tight since college, and she was always the life of the party. Super pretty, tons of confidence, and the kind of person who could charm anyone. I never thought she'd be the one to stab me in the back, but I guess you never really know people, right? So the party's going great. Everyone's having a good time. The playlist I'd spent hours perfecting on Spotify was hitting just right, and the sunset was giving that perfect golden hour glow for all our Instagram pics. Jack had been knocking back Jameson shots like they were water, which wasn't unusual for him at parties. He always said he couldn't properly celebrate America without getting completely trashed. It happened right as we were about to start the fireworks. We all gathered in the backyard, and Jack suddenly stands up on one of my patio chairs, the nice West Elm ones I'd saved up for, mind you, and calls for everyone's attention like he's about to make some grand announcement. "I've got something to say," he slurred, swaying slightly. My first thought was that he was going to propose or something equally dramatic. Boy, was I wrong. "I just want everyone to know," he continued with this weird smirk on his face, "that Emily gives way better head than Megan does." The whole party went dead silent. Like you could hear a pin drop. For a second, I thought I'd misheard him. But then he started laughing, and Emily's face went completely white. "We've been hooking up for like 3 months now," he continued, looking around at everyone's shocked faces like he was telling some hilarious joke. "Sorry, babe, but when a hotter option comes along, what's a guy supposed to do?" I swear to God, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. My stomach dropped to my feet, and everything around me blurred for a second. But then something inside me just snapped. Instead of breaking down crying like they probably expected, I felt this weird calm wash over me. I walked over to Jack, took his drink from his hand, and dumped it right over his head. Then I smiled, sweetly, and said, "You have exactly 15 minutes to get your shit and get out of my house." Emily tried to approach me, stammering about how it wasn't what it looked like, and all that bull, but I just held up my hand and said, "You too, get out." While Jack was drunkenly gathering his things, I went through our bedroom and started throwing his stuff into garbage bags. Designer shirts? In the bag. Expensive watch collection? In the bag. That stupid gaming console he spent more time with than me? Definitely in the bag. By the time he realized what was happening, I'd already called him an Uber and had his bags waiting by the front door. Some of our mutual friends tried to calm me down, saying I should sleep on it and not make decisions while angry, but I knew exactly what I was doing. "But babe," Jack whined as the Uber pulled up, "where am I supposed to go?" I just smiled and said, "Not my problem. Maybe Emily has room for you. After all, you two seem really close." The look on his face when he realized I wasn't going to back down was priceless. He actually seemed shocked that I wasn't going to forgive him on the spot. Like, did he really think I'd just laugh it off? After they both left, I went back to the party, grabbed a fresh margarita, and told everyone the fireworks would be starting in 5 minutes. A few people looked at me like I was crazy, but my college roommate Tasha came over, clinked her glass against mine, and said, "That's how it's done, girl." And honestly, the rest of that party was surprisingly awesome. There was this weird solidarity among everyone there, like we'd all witnessed something dramatic together, and were now bonded by it. Several people I barely knew came up to tell me how impressed they were with how I handled things. My neighbor even brought over an extra bottle of tequila for medicinal purposes. The fireworks that night seemed extra bright somehow. I remember standing there surrounded by friends, real ones, watching explosions of red, white, and blue light up the sky, and feeling something unexpected: freedom. It hurt, sure, but underneath the pain was this sense that I'd just dodged a major bullet. Little did I know that was just the beginning of the story. Updated, so fast forward about a month after the infamous July 4th disaster. I'd been doing surprisingly well, all things considered. I'd thrown myself into work. I was an event coordinator at a boutique hotel in Santa Monica at the time. Hit the gym regularly. Nothing motivates a revenge body like betrayal, LOL, and even redecorated my place to remove all traces of Jack. Out with the sports memorabilia, in with the plants and artwork I'd always wanted but he thought were too girly. I'd blocked both Jack and Emily on everything: phone, social media, email, you name it. But I still heard bits and pieces about them through mutual friends, even though I never asked. Apparently, they'd moved in together almost immediately after the party incident. Classic rebound relationship speedrun. It was a random Tuesday evening in August when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I checked my Ring camera, best investment ever, BTW, and nearly dropped my phone. There stood Jack, looking nothing like the polished finance bro I dated. His hair was messy, clothes wrinkled, and he had this desperate look on his face that I'd never seen before. For a solid minute, I just watched him through the app, debating whether to even acknowledge his existence. Finally, curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the door but kept the security chain on. "What do you want?" I asked, making no effort to hide the ice in my voice. "Megan, please," he said, and I noticed his eyes were bloodshot. "Can I just come in for 5 minutes? I really need to talk to you." "Whatever you have to say, you can say it from right there," I replied. He ran his hand through his hair, a nervous habit I used to find endearing but now just seemed pathetic. "I messed up, I know that. What I did was unforgivable." "Yeah, no kidding. Is that all? Because I'm missing the new episode of The Bachelorette." "Emily left me," he blurted out. "She took my credit cards, maxed them all out, and just disappeared." I couldn't help it. I laughed, actually threw my head back and cackled. "And this concerns me how exactly?" "I got fired last week," he continued, looking at his feet. "The firm had to make cuts, and I was the newest hire. I can't make rent, my credit score is trashed, and I literally have nowhere to go." That's when I noticed the duffel bag at his feet. The audacity of this man to show up at my doorstep expecting, what? That I'd welcome him back with open arms? Let him crash on my couch after what he did? "So let me get this straight," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "You publicly humiliated me, cheated with my best friend, moved in with her immediately after, and now that she screwed you over too, you think you can come crawling back to me? Am I understanding correctly?" "It's not like that," he insisted. "I made a terrible mistake. I was drunk and stupid, and I've regretted it every day since. She wasn't what I thought. She was using me the whole time." "Karma's a fascinating thing, isn't it?" I said with a smile. "But here's what you're not understanding, Jack. You standing here broke and desperate, this isn't my problem. Just like where you were going to stay wasn't your problem on July 4th, remember?" His face fell, and I could see the moment he realized I wasn't going to bail him out. "Please, Meg, I have nowhere else to go. My parents are in Europe, and none of my friends are returning my calls." "Sounds like a you problem," I said, channeling my inner petty queen. "Maybe try the Motel 6 off the freeway. I hear they leave the light on for you." "I don't even have enough for that," he admitted. "Could you at least loan me some money? Just to get through the week? I'll pay you back as soon as I find another job." I laughed again. "You know what? Wait here." I closed the door, went to my kitchen, and grabbed a Ziploc bag. I put exactly $4.07 in change that had been sitting in a bowl on my counter, walked back, and handed it through the crack in the door. "What's this?" he asked, looking confused. "That's exactly how much I care about your problems. Enough for you to buy a large coffee at McDonald's. Use it wisely." The look on his face was priceless, like he couldn't believe I wasn't falling for his sob story. He'd always been able to charm his way out of trouble before, with those puppy, dog eyes and practiced apologies. But not this time. "You've changed," he said finally, almost accusingly. "Thank God for that," I replied. "Now please leave before I call the cops and report you for trespassing." After he slunk away, I closed the door and leaned against it, heart pounding. But instead of feeling sad or angry, I felt powerful. Like I'd finally stood up for myself in a way I never had before. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Jack and Emily and how their betrayal had blindsided me. But I also thought about the party, specifically the food and atmosphere I'd created that everyone had raved about before the drama went down. For years, I'd been the go-to person among my friends for party planning. I had Pinterest boards for every occasion, and could throw together themed appetizers that looked like they belonged in a magazine. People were always telling me I should do it professionally, but I'd always brushed it off as just a hobby. Somewhere, around 3 a.m., I had what Oprah would call an aha moment. Why was I limiting myself to a job I merely tolerated when I could potentially do something I loved? The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the entire day researching what it would take to start a small catering and event planning business. By the end of the week, I'd registered a business name, Sparks and Celebrations. Cheesy, I know, but clients eat that stuff up, and started working on a simple website. I dipped into my savings to invest in some basic equipment and business cards, and then reached out to everyone I knew to offer my services for upcoming events at deeply discounted friends and family rates to build my portfolio. My first official gig was a baby shower for a former coworker. I was so nervous I barely slept the night before, triple-checking my lists and prep schedule. But the event went off without a hitch, and the mom-to-be was so impressed she immediately referred me to 2 of her friends. From there, things snowballed in the best possible way. I started getting bookings for birthday parties, corporate events, and even a small wedding. I was working harder than I ever had at my hotel job, but the difference was that it didn't feel like work. Every successful event gave me a high that no paycheck from my old job ever could. 3 months after Jack showed up at my door, I took the plunge and quit my hotel job to focus on Sparks and Celebrations full-time. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. The first month was lean, and I seriously questioned my decision more than once. But by the holiday season, I had bookings solid through New Year's. And here's the kicker. One of my biggest clients turned out to be Jack's former company. A former colleague of his who'd been at my July 4th party remembered my food and atmosphere and hired me to cater their holiday party. When I walked in to set up and saw all the people who used to know me as Jack's girlfriend, the looks on their faces were priceless. "Megan, is that you?" one of the executives asked. "Jack told us you were struggling after the breakup." I just smiled and handed him a perfectly plated appetizer. "Business is booming, actually. How is Jack doing these days?" "Oh, we haven't heard from him since the layoffs," he replied awkwardly. "Tough situation." "Yes," I agreed, maintaining my professional smile. "Very tough." That party led to 3 more corporate bookings, and by spring, I was actually turning down events because I couldn't handle the volume alone. I hired my first part-time assistant in March and started looking into commercial kitchen space to expand operations. Final update. It's been a year since that fateful July 4th, and I'm hosting another Independence Day party today, but this time, it's doubling as the official launch party for the expanded Sparks and celebrations. I now have a small team, a dedicated kitchen space, and bookings 6 months out. The local lifestyle magazine even did a small feature on me last month, calling my events the hottest ticket in the suburban LA scene. As for Jack, I ran into him at Trader Joe's a couple months back. He was bagging groceries. Apparently, it was the only job he could get with his once pristine resume now tarnished. He didn't see me at first, and I almost walked away without saying anything. But then I thought about how far I'd come, partly because of the push his betrayal gave me. So I got in his checkout line, placed my items on the belt, and waited. When he looked up and saw me, the shock on his face was priceless. "Megan," he stammered. "You look great. Thanks," I said simply. "How are things?" He gestured vaguely at his name tag. "You know, rebuilding." I nodded and handed him my new business card as he finished bagging my groceries. "If you ever need a caterer, give me a call. I give discounts to old friends." The irony wasn't lost on him. I could tell by the way his face flushed. As I walked away, I felt nothing but gratitude. Not for what he did, but for how I responded to it. The fireworks I'm setting up for tonight's party are going to be spectacular, my signature grand finale that's become something of a neighborhood legend. And as they light up the sky, I'll be celebrating more than just America's independence. I'll be celebrating my own.